What happens when a mail-order bride from the East Coast steps off a train in the Wild West and comes face to face with a cowboy carrying something utterly unexpected? Wait, you're putting that inside me? The giant mail-order bride first froze, but the cowboy witnessed this unbelievable true-inspired story right here on Whisper of the Past. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share where you're watching from. Let's get started. The year was 1882, and the dusty town of Dry Creek, Wyoming, had seen better days. The mines were drying up, the cattle were scarce, and the men outnumbered the women 20-1. Among these lonely souls was Marcus Thornton, a towering cowboy standing 6'5", with hands like bear paws and a heart just as large. After years of solitude on his ranch, Marcus did what many desperate men of the frontier did. He sent away for a bride. Through a matrimonial agency in Boston, Marcus corresponded with Eleanor Whitmore, a woman who described herself as tall, strong, and willing to start fresh in the untamed West. What she didn't mention in her carefully worded letters was that she stood 6 feet 2 inches in her stockings and had the build of a lumberjack's daughter, which she was. Eleanor had spent her life helping her father fell trees in the forests of Maine, and city life after his passing had left her feeling caged and purposeless. When Marcus received her photograph, he was smitten. Here was a woman who looked like she could handle ranch life, not some delicate flower who'd wilt under the harsh Wyoming sun. He sent her train fare immediately, and 3 weeks later, Eleanor found herself stepping onto the wooden platform of Dry Creek Station, her single trunk beside her. Marcus was waiting, hat in hand, his wagon loaded with supplies. When their eyes met, something unexpected happened. They were almost perfectly eye to eye. Eleanor had expected a typical cowboy, weathered and wiry. Marcus had expected a tall woman, but not someone who could nearly match his own imposing height. For a long moment, they simply stared at each other, and the small crowd that had gathered to witness the arrival of Marcus's bride began to whisper. Marcus broke into a wide grin. "Miss Eleanor, I presume? You're even more magnificent than your photograph suggested." Eleanor, who had spent her entire life being called mannish, unfeminine, and unmarriageable because of her size, felt tears prick her eyes. "Mr. Thornton, I hope I haven't deceived you. I know I'm not what most men consider." "You're exactly what this land needs," Marcus interrupted warmly. "And what I need. Welcome to Wyoming, Eleanor. Welcome home." The tension broke, and Eleanor allowed herself to smile. Marcus loaded her trunk into the wagon, and they began the 2-hour journey to his ranch. They talked easily, discovering shared interests in hard work, the outdoors, and a good laugh. By the time the ranch house came into view, Eleanor was beginning to think she'd made the right choice after all. But then came the moment that would test their budding relationship. As Marcus helped Eleanor down from the wagon, he said casually, "Now, before we get you settled, there's something important we need to take care of. Doc Henderson is waiting inside." Eleanor's blood ran cold. "Doctor? Why would we need a doctor?" Marcus looked surprised by her alarm. "Well, for the vaccination, of course. Didn't they tell you in Boston? There's been talk of smallpox coming up from the southern territories. Everyone in the county's been getting vaccinated. Doc's been traveling from ranch to ranch all month." Eleanor took 3 steps backward, her face draining of color. The strong, capable woman who'd helped fell 100-foot trees was suddenly trembling. "You're putting that inside me? A needle?" This was when Marcus learned Eleanor's deepest secret. This giant of a woman, who could outwork most men and showed no fear of the wilderness, was absolutely terrified of medical procedures. As a child, she'd witnessed her mother's death during a surgery gone wrong, and the trauma had left her with a profound fear of doctors, needles, and anything medical. Eleanor froze on the spot, her feet seemingly rooted to the dusty ground. "I can't, Marcus. I'm sorry. I know you'll think I'm foolish, but I cannot do this." The cowboy could have reacted in many ways. He could have mocked her, called her cowardly, or insisted she comply. Instead, Marcus did something that would define their entire marriage. He stepped closer, not crowding her, but near enough to speak softly. "Eleanor, look at me," he said gently. I'm not going to force you to do anything, but I need you to know something. I've already lost one person I cared about to disease. My sister Sarah died of fever 5 years ago. If there's a way to protect you, to keep you safe, I'm going to do everything I can to convince you it's the right choice. Not because I own you or command you, but because in the short time I've known you, I've already come to care about your well-being. Eleanor's eyes widened. This rough cowboy was speaking to her with more respect and kindness than any man in her life ever had. Marcus continued, "How about this? Let me take it first. You watch Doc give me the vaccination, see that it's nothing but a quick pinch, and then you decide. And if you still can't do it, we'll find another way to keep you safe. We'll keep you away from town during any outbreak. We'll quarantine the ranch, whatever it takes. You're my partner now, Eleanor, not my property." Inside the ranch house, Doc Henderson, a grizzled old frontier physician, waited patiently. He'd seen all manner of reactions to vaccinations, from children screaming to grown men fainting. When Marcus explained the situation, the old doctor nodded sagely. "Seen this before," Doc said. "Fear isn't about size or strength, young lady. It's about what's happened to us. No shame in it." Marcus rolled up his sleeve and sat down. Eleanor watched, her fingernails digging into her palms, as the doctor prepared the vaccination. To his credit, Marcus didn't flinch, didn't make a show of bravery. He simply sat calmly, received the injection, and rolled his sleeve back down. "Your turn, if you're willing," he said to Eleanor. "But only if you're willing." For a long moment, Eleanor stood in the doorway, wrestling with her fear. Then she thought about this man who'd accepted her height, her strength, her unfeminine appearance without judgment. This man who'd offered her a choice when he could have issued an order. This man who'd protected her dignity even when she was acting foolish. She took a deep breath and stepped forward. "All right," she whispered. "But Marcus, you hold my hand." The cowboy's large hand enveloped hers, warm and steady. Doc Henderson worked quickly and efficiently, and before Eleanor could work herself into a panic, it was done. "There now," the doctor said with satisfaction. "Bravest patient I've had all month." That evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of gold and crimson, Eleanor spoke quietly. "Thank you for not making me feel small, even though I acted like a child." Marcus squeezed her hand. "We've all got our fears, Eleanor. What matters is facing them when it counts, and you did that today." Eleanor and Marcus Thornton's marriage lasted 43 years. They built one of the most successful ranches in Wyoming, raised 4 children who inherited their parents' impressive height, and became local legends. People spoke of the giant couple who were perfectly matched, not just in stature, but in strength, courage, and devotion. And it all began with a moment of vulnerability, and a cowboy who understood that real strength sometimes means admitting we're afraid. If this story moved you, please like this video and subscribe to Whisper of the Past for more incredible true tales from history. Share where you're watching from in the comments below. Until next time, remember that the past whispers lessons we all need to hear.